For today's vlog, I've come into the central mountains of the Isle of Man, and my goal is to take a picture of this beautiful little ruin behind me. Now, my local knowledge isn't fantastic, but I think it's called the Croit, and this is a location that I've never photographed before, so I'm really excited to actually finally get here and get an image of this location. Now, on this vlog, I'm going to try and take you through my entire workflow from start to finish. So I'm going to show you how to find the composition, how to shoot it, and then all the way through to post-processing of the final image. So I'm going to have a little walk around this site, try and find my favourite composition, and then we'll get stuck in to actually getting an image of it. After a few minutes of looking around, I've finally got my composition. So you can see my camera set up just here, and I am actually on a bit of a wall to get a bit of elevation. And the reason for that is, if you look just over here, you can see the actual reservoir that this ruin is situated near in the background, and by getting a little bit of elevation here, it reveals a little bit more of the water, and I think that really adds to the composition. From any other angle here, that water is obscured behind those trees, so I think that's a very key point. Also, the main focus point for this image is this ruin, and there's not too much of it left, it's just really the outer walls, but what I find really eye-catching about it, it's just this beautiful little doorway that remains intact. It's so eye-catching. And then you've got this wonderful kind of autumnal kind of forest just in the backdrop. And then behind that, we've actually got the highest peak on the Isle of Man, Snae Fell, just there. What's kind of missing in this composition at the moment is the sky is a little bit boring and empty. I think it's going to need a little bit of cloud just moving through it just to balance off the shot. So I'm just going to wait round and see if any cloud blows my way. Not only am I waiting for clouds to blow into my scene, but I'm also waiting for the light to improve. It's a little bit too harsh and strong at the moment. It's about another hour 40 until sunset, so I think I'm going to need that golden hour light to kind of lift this scene to another level. I really do believe there's a nice image to be had here, but it just needs the right conditions, and they're not quite there at the moment. For those of you with eagle eyes, you may notice I've got a new tripod. It's nothing to be excited about. It's exactly the same model of tripod I had before. I've just had it replaced under warranty. I've come to the conclusion that it must have just been a freak defect in the previous tripod, because I've seen no evidence of this in other customer reviews, etc. In my research. So I think I just got really unlucky with that. Overall, it was a great tripod and I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to continuing to use this brand and model of tripod. I'm a little bit nervous in case it happens again, but I've got a feeling it won't. I'm going to be extra delicate and dainty on my ball head knobs from now on. Maybe I need to stop going to the gym so much. Yeah, I think I'll be okay going forwards, and overall it's a decent bit of kit, I think. It looks to me like the perfect clouds are going to blow right into the scene imminently, so I better make this really quick. In terms of settings, I'm shooting at f11, 1/8 of a second, ISO 64 at 40mm, and I've also got a circular polarizer on the front to punch out the saturation of the colours across the scene, and I've also got a 2-stop soft edge graduated filter just to darken the sky a little bit, and I think that's going to deliver the perfect mix. Right, better put my camera down and get this image. I'm really quite happy with how that image has turned out. I did have a little experiment with a big stopper, a 10-stop filter on the front, to see if I could get some movement in that cloud coming across, but it didn't really work. There wasn't enough density to the cloud. As it moved to the right of the scene, it seemed to dissipate away, and yeah, the effect of that movement just wasn't really captured. But I'm pretty happy with the standard shot, so I'm going to take that home to post-processing now and see if I can get stuck into it and generate my final image. I'm now back home, and it's actually a few days later, which you might have guessed by the mysterious vanishing act that the bum fluff on my face has done. But enough of that, let's jump into the post-processing right now. Here we are in Lightroom, and this is actually the final image that I have selected out of the various images that I took on this particular day. And this image is a bit of a compromise. It's not particularly taken when the light was at its very best, but it wasn't too far off. But what has really caught my attention and what made this particular image stand out is just this area of cloud here. It just sits perfectly in this gap, in this area of blue sky, and it balances the shot perfectly with the old ruins that sit down anchored in the bottom left. I think it creates a fantastic balance across the shot, and yeah, for me, out of all the shots I took on this particular day, this one stood out head and shoulders above the others. So looking at this image, it doesn't actually look like it's going to need that much post-processing in Lightroom. It's not that far off, but there's a few tweaks I want to make. Now, firstly, I think the image feels slightly cold. I think it just needs to be warmed up just a touch, just to match what the experience was actually like. Yeah, I think that's slightly too much. Probably something like there. It's very subtle, but I think it makes a slight difference. I'm also going to draw down the highlights, bump up the shadows, and then bump up the whites as well. Really push them out to about sort of there. I think it's starting to look a bit more contrasty, a bit more punchy, a bit more vibrant, but I actually feel it's probably a little overexposed. That feels a little bit more balanced to me, but I still think the contrast needs to be just put a touch up, something like that. Then if we introduced a little bit of clarity and just a touch of vibrancy, something like that, and that just makes the colours just come out that little bit more. We compare to what it was before, the change isn't massive, but it is there. You can see that the image is warmed up a little bit, the colours have punched out a little bit more, and generally there's just a lot more contrast right across the scene. But interestingly, one thing that really does stand out to me on this is I think the polarizer and the graduated filter that I used for this shot have actually done a slightly, they've worked slightly too well. The blue in the sky looks good, but to me it feels a little bit too blue, which is quite a rarity really. So I actually think I'm just gonna increase the luminescence of the blue channel a little bit, just to lift the sky a little bit, because I don't know, it felt a little bit false to some extent. You can get that with polarizers. Sometimes their effect can be a little bit too strong on blue skies. I think that's looking a lot better. Then if we just pop into lens corrections, just take out any distortions. Straight away the vignetting is taken away from the corners, and that's looking a lot better already. Yeah, that is not too bad at all, but I think it just needs a touch more contrast. Great way to do this is to use the tone curve here and just put in just a very slight sort of S curve on the tone curve here, and you can see here straight away if I turn this on and off. Again, it's very subtle, but it just punches out the shot that little bit more. And I think that really makes it look a lot better. So if we compare that to the original, I think that's looking a lot better, and I'm pretty satisfied with that shot. One thing that actually just stands out is this bottom left corner, to me, feels a little overexposed and out of keeping with the rest of the exposure, and I'm not sure why, but it's quite easy to correct. If I just draw in a graduated filter into this corner, something like there, and then I just dip the exposure ever so slightly, something like there. Yeah, I think that's looking a lot better, and I think it feels more balanced right across the frame. One thing that I quickly just wanted to show you as well is if I just zoom in here to the top of this mountain, and this is Snaefell, the highest peak on the Isle of Man. if you just look where my mouse is here, you can see some unsuspecting people that have starred in my image. These are actually some hikers on top of the mountain, and it goes to show the incredible sensor in the D850, and the amount of detail it can capture is absolutely remarkable. I never fail to be blown away by just how much detail it captures. If I just zoom out now, just look at that. It's absolutely incredible. I've owned this camera for a year now, and it never fails to utterly blow me away. Overall, I'm really pleased with how the shots turned out, and in many ways it's surpassed my expectations on what I thought was achievable on the day. I would say it's probably the clouds on the top right hand corner that ultimately made the shot for me, and that's quite weird really, because it's something outside of my control and it's something that's seemingly small and inconsequential, but it's ultimately kind of made the shot for me. And yeah, I think I've just got lucky to some extent, because all the other shots in the sequence just didn't quite work for me. The clouds were positioned slightly differently, they had a different look and feel, a different density, and it totally changed the dynamic of the shot. Yet when I went on this and the image and viewed this image, I instantly knew this was the one. And yeah, I think it goes to show the importance of patience. If you just stay out in the field that little bit longer, you'll increase the odds of just getting that one shot that just shines that little bit more brightly than the shots around it. As always, I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts on this shot. What do you think of the location? What do you think of the composition? What do you think of the clouds? Thank you for any likes, comments or subscribes you give me on the back of this video. They're very much appreciated as always, and I will see you soon for more landscape photography. Goodbye.